In the death zone of Mount Everest, where the air holds barely enough oxygen to sustain human life, certain landmarks guide climbers toward the summit. Some of these markers are natural formations carved by wind and ice over millennia. Others are far more disturbing. They are the preserved remains of those who never returned, transformed by the mountain's brutal conditions into permanent fixtures of the landscape. Among these frozen sentinels, one figure has become more infamous than any other, known not by name but by a single haunting detail that catches every climber's eye. Before proceeding, make sure you're subscribed for more unsolved mysteries. It was May 10th, 1996, in the early hours before dawn, when the Indo-Tibetan Border Police Expedition began their final push toward the summit of Mount Everest. The team of 6 climbers had spent weeks acclimatizing at various camps, following the standard route up the mountain's northeastern ridge. Among them was Swang Palja, a 28-year-old constable whose bright green mountaineering boots would soon become one of the most recognizable and disturbing landmarks on the world's highest peak. The expedition faced deteriorating weather conditions as they ascended beyond the final camp. Radio communications with base camp became increasingly sporadic as the team pushed higher into the death zone, that merciless altitude above 26,000 feet where the human body begins to consume itself. The last confirmed contact placed 3 members of the team, including Palja, somewhere near the summit approach in the late afternoon hours. What happened next remains shrouded in the kind of mystery that Mount Everest seems to specialize in creating. The official reports indicate that the climbers became separated in worsening weather conditions. Search efforts were hampered by the extreme altitude and the mountain's notorious ability to hide its secrets behind walls of wind and snow. 2 members of the expedition were eventually found deceased. 3 others, including Palja, simply vanished into the white void that swallows so many on Everest's slopes. The mountain kept its secrets for several climbing seasons. Then, in 1998, ascending climbers began reporting a disturbing discovery along the main route to the summit. In a small limestone cave formation, sheltered from the worst of the mountain's fury, sat a figure that would become known to the climbing community by the most visible feature of his preserved form, a pair of bright green mountaineering boots. The body was positioned in what appeared to be a deliberate resting posture, legs extended, back against the cave wall. The extreme cold had mummified the remains with an unsettling perfection, creating a tableau that seemed almost peaceful, if not for the obvious signs of the mountain's brutal work. The green boots, still laced and intact, became the identifying feature that gave this unknown climber his grim nickname. What disturbed many climbers was not just the presence of the body, but its location. The cave formation where green boots rested was positioned along the main climbing route, making it impossible for summit-bound climbers to avoid. The figure became an unwilling checkpoint, a macabre mile marker that climbers would pass within feet of during their ascent. Some reported the psychological impact of seeing the preserved form, while others spoke of an inexplicable sense of being watched as they climbed past. The identity of green boots remained officially unconfirmed for years, though climbing experts and investigators developed theories based on the available evidence. The bright green boots matched equipment known to be used by the 1996 Indo-Tibetan Border Police Expedition. The location of the body corresponded with the last known position of the missing climbers. The timeline aligned with the disappearance of Palja and his companions. But the mountain had more mysteries to reveal. Other climbers began reporting additional discoveries in the area surrounding the Green Boots cave. Pieces of equipment were found scattered in patterns that seemed to defy the random distribution that wind and weather typically create. Some items appeared to have been deliberately placed, arranged in configurations that suggested human intervention rather than natural dispersal. More disturbing were the reports from climbers who claimed to have seen multiple figures in the area, not just the single body in the cave. These sightings were typically dismissed as altitude-induced hallucinations, a common occurrence in the death zone where oxygen deprivation can create vivid and terrifying visions. However, the consistency of these reports began to draw attention from those who study the mountain's many mysteries. The cave itself presented puzzles that defied easy explanation. Geological surveys of the area had not previously documented the limestone formation where Green Boots was found. The cave appeared to be a natural shelter, perfectly sized for human occupation, yet its existence seemed to contradict earlier topographical studies of the route. Some climbers reported that the cave appeared different each time they passed, as if the mountain itself was shifting and changing its features. Equipment recovered from the area included items that did not match the known inventory of the Indo-Tibetan Border Police Expedition. Among these were rope sections tied in knots that climbing experts could not identify, and metal fixtures that appeared to be of unknown manufacture. The origin and purpose of these items remained unexplained, adding another layer of mystery to an already complex case. The most unsettling discovery came from climbers who reported finding what appeared to be messages carved into the rock face near the cave. The markings were shallow and weathered, making them difficult to photograph or document clearly. Those who claimed to have seen them described symbols that resembled, arranged in patterns that seemed to follow some form of deliberate structure. Investigation into these claims was hampered by the extreme conditions and the technical challenges of conducting detailed examination at such altitude. The few photographs that were taken showed only shadows and rock formations that could be interpreted as either natural weathering or deliberate carving, depending on the observer's perspective. The mystery deepened when climbers began reporting that the position of Green Boots seemed to change between climbing seasons. While the body remained in the same general location, subtle differences in posture and position were noted by experienced climbers familiar with the landmark. These changes were typically attributed to the natural effects of freeze-thaw cycles and wind action, but some observers insisted the alterations were too dramatic to be explained by natural causes alone. Weather monitoring equipment placed in the area recorded temperature and wind patterns that did not match the expected conditions for that altitude and location. The data showed inexplicable variations that created microclimates around the cave formation, as if the mountain was creating its own localized weather systems. These readings defied atmospheric models and remained unexplained by meteorological experts. The most disturbing reports came from climbers who claimed to have heard sounds emanating from the cave area during their ascent. These accounts describe voices speaking in unknown languages, mechanical sounds that had no apparent source, and what some described as breathing or movement from within the cave itself. The extreme conditions and the effects of altitude on human perception made these reports impossible to verify, yet their consistency across multiple climbing seasons raised questions about their origin. Search and rescue operations in the area yielded additional mysteries. Equipment designed to detect human remains registered positive readings in locations where no bodies were visible. Ground-penetrating radar revealed what appeared to be hollow spaces beneath the surface, suggesting the presence of additional cave systems or chambers that had not been previously mapped. Attempts to investigate these anomalies were abandoned due to the extreme danger and technical challenges involved. The final piece of the puzzle emerged when advanced photographic equipment captured images of the cave area that revealed details invisible to the naked eye. These photographs showed what appeared to be additional figures positioned deeper within the cave formation, beyond the location where Green Boots rested. The images were unclear and subject to interpretation, but they suggested that the single body visible to climbers might not be the only human remains present in the area. Analysis of these photographs revealed patterns of light and shadow that seemed to contradict the known geography of the cave. The images suggested the presence of passages and chambers that extended far beyond what surface observation indicated. The implications of these findings raised questions about the true nature and extent of the cave system and what other secrets it might contain. The official investigation into the Green Boots mystery was quietly suspended after multiple attempts to conduct detailed examination of the site resulted in equipment failures and safety concerns. The extreme conditions and technical challenges were cited as the primary reasons for halting the inquiry, though some investigators privately expressed frustration with unexplained phenomena that seemed to actively resist their efforts to uncover the truth. What do you think really happened to those missing climbers in that mysterious cave formation, and how do you explain the unexplained changes and phenomena that continue to surround the Green Boots landmark? Subscribe to explore more cases where the world's most extreme environments hide secrets that challenge our understanding of reality itself.